Welcome to the Next Level podcast. This show is for leaders, builders, and bold thinkers who know they're meant for more and are finally ready to stop waiting and start moving. The Next Level Lab is where confidence meets clarity, where identity turns into action, and where bold decisions create real momentum. Here we'll talk about leadership, growth, energy, mindset, and what it actually takes to build a life and a business that feel aligned, powerful, and totally yours. You'll hear real conversations, real stories, real strategies. No fluff, no playing small, and no waiting until you feel ready. This podcast is your permission to lead louder, move faster, and own your next level. I'm your host, Callie Wiley. Let's freaking go. Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Lab podcast. Because we're on a roll, we're recording, we're doing all the things. We are finally caught up. We're staying consistent again, which is why I want to talk about identity gap, right? And why are your habits not matching the life that you want? You say who you want to be, but your daily actions aren't proving that, right? And this is such a unique skill set. And I have so many clients and so many people that I interact with and I work with that this is like a hot topic. And we talk a lot about like, I want to be this person, but I don't do X, Y, Z, right? So one of the examples that I get a lot is I want to be confident, but I avoid speaking up. I have this all the time. And where does this identity gap lie? Why is this the issue, right? Because we sit in this space where so many people say, I want to be confident like you. I want to speak up like you. I want to do these things, but then they won't speak up. They won't speak up. And we do this because of all these other things I've talked about, right? Fear of speaking out incorrectly, fear of judgment, fear of critical whatever. And it starts to create this gap in who you want to be versus who you're showing up as every single day. And eventually it starts to get washed, right? Saying you want growth, but you're staying really comfortable. Saying you want to take bold action, but you're staying really comfortable. Saying you want better relationships, but you're not communicating. There is this gap between what you want and how you're acting. And in order to do this, we have to start wanting discipline and choosing discipline when really we're wanting discipline, but we're choosing convenience, right? So all these little things that we start to do, right? We want discipline, but we're going to keep doing the convenient thing. We want to say we're disciplined, but we're going to pick the easy route. We're not going to have the difficult conversation. We're not going to do the thing because that's the easy thing to do, right? So we have this vision of who we want to be, but a lifestyle that we're living. And that can start to get really dangerous. But why does this happen, right? We have fear of change. Everyone's afraid of change. Everyone's afraid of what if. Everyone is afraid of, what if I don't do this right? What if I do this incorrectly? What if I don't show up correctly? The fear of judgment. The fear of, what if someone judges me? What if someone shames me? What if someone has something to say? Who freaking cares? First of all, you know if you're a client of mine or you've worked with me or coached with me, what do I always say about fear of judgment? Who cares? Let someone judge you. How other people react is not your responsibility. How other people respond to you is not your responsibility, period, right? Old identity also feels safe for people. We get in this route and this rhythm that it feels safe because it's what we know, right? We stay at jobs for too long because we know the job. We stay in relationships too long because it's comfortable. We stay in friendships too long because it's comfortable, because it feels safe, because it's what we know. And it starts to just become this pattern. And we start to get these subconscious beliefs of, I'm not that kind of person. This is just who I am. This is just who I am. And it's not true, right? I've struggled with ADHD my whole life. And it would be so easy for me to say, well, this is just who I am. But instead, I use it as my superpower. I use my ability to ping pong as my superpower. It's not just who I am. It's my superpower. It's my unique ability. How do we change this frame of mind, right? Most people avoid this. We avoid it, right? You don't become confident, disciplined, or successful first. You act like the person before it feels natural. We talk about this a lot. I talk about this all the time. Confidence is a muscle we get to flex. It's a skill we build, right? It comes over time. Everyone is waiting to be more confident, to be more disciplined, to be more successful first. I'll do this once. I'll do this when. I'll become more this when this happens, right? When in reality, what we need to be doing is just doing it until it becomes natural, doing it until it becomes a habit every single time. And so we can close this gap by doing some pretty actionable steps. I am someone who follows through, right? How do we do that? How do we say, I'm someone that follows through? I'm someone who does this. What would the best version of me do right now? What would she do? If I say, I want XYZ, what would the best version of me, how would I react? I talk a lot about this in emotional intelligence because so often when we're presented with hard choices, I chose the word unstoppable this year for my word of the year. Unstoppable will be my word of the year all year. Every single time I'm faced with a decision, I say, how would the unstoppable version of me respond to this? And now I have a freaking book coming out and I've convinced all these people to go on tour with me. I created a team because the unstoppable version of me would do that, right? And that's hard. It takes small aligned actions, speaking up once, doing the thing once, getting out of your own way once to build these actionable steps. And when we start to speak up one at a time, when we say, no, thank you, that's not for me. When we say this room's not for me anymore. When we say, I'm going to follow through on this one task. I'm going to work out this one time. I'm going to do this one thing. I'm going to set this one boundary. I'm going to say no this one time. I'm going to say yes this one time. You start to build this reputation that's going to build your identity. I talk about a lot of this in core values. Every time we build a core value and we start to align with building these repetitions towards those core values, it becomes this evidence that we are who we say we are, right? Confidence isn't a trait, it's evidence. It's evidence that every day we show up, every day we keep going, every day we do the thing. Every day we do it. Discipline is not a personality. I get this a lot. Well, you're so disciplined. You wake up every day and you go on a hike. You're so disciplined. No, it's practice. I struggled a long time to get this to be my reality. It's practice. And that repetition is going to continue to build that identity. And that is where we start to close this gap of being the person we say we want to be and being the person we are, right? So for the next 3 days, you have to act like the version of you keep talking about. That's what I want to challenge you to. Act like the person of you keep dreaming up. When we talk about who we are, I want you to think about the best version of yourself. I want you to think about the best version of yourself. I want you to think about how that person dresses, how we talk, how we speak, how we respond to things, how we show up in the room, how we carry our energy, how we show up at networking events, how we show up in business, how we show up in our households. And I want you to think of the best version of you. What does that person look like? How do they dress? How does that person carry themselves? And I want you to do a few things, 2 things that start to align more with that person, to close this identity gap of who you really want to be and who you're showing up as. I did this for years. I showed up as who other people wanted me to be because I thought that's what people wanted to see. And in reality, if we can just sit in this space where we can just be authentic and start taking little steps towards being the best version of ourselves, it's going to change over and over, right? You have to act like that person first. You have to believe that you can be that person first. You have to lean so deeply in to acting on who you want to become. And until you start practicing it, you're not going to become that person. And until you start taking those bold moves, you're not going to be that person. You're going to be stuck being the person that you've just always been. And inside of you, you have this person that you really want to be, but you fear judgment and criticism and what if and success and shame and all these things. Go be that person this week. Let this be your permission to step into being the greatest version of yourself and stop robbing yourself of that opportunity. Stop robbing yourself to keep other people comfortable, because every time you're robbing yourself to keep other people comfortable, you're doing that to yourself, right? You're not responsible for other people respond to you. So go own this. Go take this part of your life back. Let me know one thing that you're doing this week. Reach out to me on social media. Text me, call me. I don't know, however you can communicate with me. If you don't have my number, just hit me up on social media. Tell me what you're doing to close that gap this week. What are you doing right now to close the gap of who you want to be and who you currently are? Because this is where success pivots. This is where, when I have clients that people say, how do you take people from being average to owning empires? This is the work we do. This is the work we do. We step into being the person that runs multi-million-dollar companies. We stop thinking so small. So go be that person today. And I hope that this resonates. I hope that this helps, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.